I used to think minimalism was just an internet trend. White walls, clear surfaces, and zero personality. But then I watched someone I love use it to heal, and everything changed. Minimalism isn't really about owning less. It's about feeling lighter inside. And it took me years to really understand that. But then I watched someone that I love use minimalism not as a style or as a statement, but as a way to heal. When I first met my wife, she had already started her minimalism journey, and she was decluttering her apartment, letting go of a bunch of things from her past, and slowly creating space for the future that she wanted. A future that thankfully ended up including me, but the real point is this. She wasn't trying to own less. She was trying to carry less inside. And as we spent more time together, I started to understand what she was actually doing. She went through dozens of boxes, old papers, clothes, and things she hadn't touched in years. Bags of clutter left the apartment. Books that she no longer needed found new homes, and slowly the space began to feel lighter. Not just the room, but that's how she felt inside. And it wasn't really about stuff anymore. It was about being intentional, about asking herself, do I really need this? And does it support the life that I'm trying to build? Or is it just taking up more space? Both of us live with chronic health conditions. So when she simplified her space, I realized it wasn't just about organization. It was about self-care. The less she had pulling on her attention, the more energy she had for what really mattered to her. More time to rest, more space to breathe, and more calm in her day. And in that calm, it became easier for her to be present. One of the things we connected on early on in a relationship was mindfulness, which is the practice of paying attention, pretty much, on purpose and without judgment. Being here in this moment instead of constantly worrying about the next one. And slowly, I started to realize that minimalism and mindfulness are not separate ideas. In fact, minimalism is mindfulness. Minimalism isn't really about counting how many socks you own or throwing out half your closet.
Hey, where are all my clothes?
It's about being deliberate. Deliberate with what you own, what you say yes to, what you allow into your life, and where your energy goes, and what you carry in your mind. Because clutter, as we know, isn't just physical. Clutter can look like that to-do list that you've been putting off for weeks now, right? Or the notifications that keep lighting up your phone, or the projects and plans that you agreed to, even though you don't actually have time to do them. It can be the friendships that leave you feeling drained, or the unresolved feelings from a past or even current relationship. It can be the expectations you never really questioned, and the thoughts that tell you that you're always behind. Mindfulness responds with two simple questions. What's here right now, and what actually matters? Minimalism gives you a physical space, and mindfulness gives you mental space. And together, they help you breathe again. I still wouldn't call myself a total minimalist. I still hold on to sentimental things and a few small collections that genuinely bring me joy, like my comic books. I like that kind of stuff. But I've become far more intentional. I don't own a lot of clothes, but I really like the ones that I keep. And if I don't, then it's time to donate them. Now, I think twice before buying something new, or at least I try to. I ask myself, is it adding value or just adding weight while also making my wallet a lot lighter at the same time? And I ask myself, what am I really trying to get from this purchase, right? Is it just kind of a temporary high or something that will benefit me in the long term? Because everything we own comes with a cost, right? Not just monetarily, but there's mental energy, wondering if I made the right choice with this purchase. There's physical space, because everything has to live somewhere. There's responsibility, right? To maintain it or fix it when it breaks. And your attention, because every object quietly asks for a little piece of us. And attention is one of the most valuable things we have. So for me, minimalism isn't about how little you own, it's about how fully you can live with what you choose to keep. When your space feels calmer, your mind often follows. And when your calendar isn't just jam-packed or jammed to the brim, your nervous system finally gets a break. And when you stop chasing the next thing, you start noticing what's already there right in front of you. Sunlight filling a room in the morning. The sound of someone that you love laughing nearby. A warm drink before the day begins. None of that costs anything, but it's so easy to miss when life keeps pulling your attention in a million different directions. Minimalism isn't about less just for the sake of less. It's about making room for what matters, what truly matters. Room for health, for meaningful relationships, for creativity, for stillness, for simply being human. So no, I still don't really think of myself as a minimalist, but I do try to be mindful about what I bring into my home and who and what I allow into my life. Because over time, I've realized you don't need a label to live more intentionally. And you don't need to meditate on a mountaintop to practice mindfulness. Sometimes it's as simple as asking yourself, does this support the life I want to live? Or is it quietly weighing me down? And when we choose with intention, we don't just create space in our homes. We create space in our minds and in our lives. And that's why I say minimalism is mindfulness. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.